everyone, Rascal here.
And Mama, welcome to our podcast.
Today we're covering The Mummy Returns.
And this is the sequel to one of my favorite movies of all time, The Mummy, 1999, with the returning cast from the first film, plus a couple of new favorites. And unbelievably, someone was actually dumb enough to bring back The Mummy's Curse and start another film.
Yeah. And before we start, be sure to like, subscribe, and click notification buttons on future podcasts and Little Pause videos.
Absolutely. Now, this movie came out 2 years after the first one, so 2001. And we had returning, of course, Brendan Fraser, Rachel Weisz, John Hannah, Oded Fehr, and then we had Dwayne Johnson in his acting debut as the Scorpion King. Mm-hmm. And yes, it was considered a sequel, but it wasn't a good one.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, and Patricia Velasquez also returned.
So, for here, it is exactly what it says. The Mummy does return, but it's like, why? And then on top of that, you also have a second thing with the Scorpion King, which ended up getting its own spin-off set of films. And it was just like, we need two curses now? Why don't you just have it be the Mummy's Curse of the Scorpion King or something? Just make a movie out of that. Why did you bring in the Mummy again and then this guy on top of it?
Now, it had mixed reviews. I'm not a fan of it, but it was a commercial success. It was took $98 million to make, and it grossed over $435 million. Mm-hmm. I think a lot of people probably went to see it because they loved the first one so much and was expecting lightning to strike twice, I should say. But it didn't. The lightning burned it down.
Right, and that's rare for a lot of these big movies to get sequels that either surpass or just as good as the first, like with Terminator or Shrek or something. So for this one, I think the issue is that they kind of took a lot of the excitement out of it, because the thing was that it was like Indiana Jones was building up to the monster and the adventure and everything, everyone being after the same thing. Well, in here, they really don't have to do that. The Mummy's already there in the city, and it's just going to unleash his power upon everybody because someone was dumb enough to bring it out and try to market off of it. So then this whole movie becomes a save the world type scenario. It was more like preventing it, escaping it, and escalating the first film. So now it's become a save the world movie, which it really didn't have to because it seemed like it was trying to do way more than it should.
Right. Now, of course, the movie starts off with the Scorpion King portion of the movie and Dwayne Johnson. Then it goes into O'Connell and Evelyn, who are now married, with a son, Alex. And Alex has some type of vision where he can see prophetically or see into the future.
His foresight and all.
And and then here we go again with the Book of the Dead coming back, and Evie's captured again, and they want her to resurrect Imhotep, and him to use his power to defeat the Scorpion King. And of course, Anaxunamun comes back, and again, it just starts running into what the hell is going on in this movie.
It's just,
why did you make this? It's like convoluted. That's what it is.
It sounds like they just remade the first movie, add some new characters, and try to make it bigger. Because again, it doesn't even sound like this is a movie. It sounds like it's something extra. It doesn't even feel like a mummy movie, adventure movie, or any type of movie, really. It's just sort of like, why did you... Oh, wait, because it made money. I forgot. I was going to say, why did you make it? But no, it made so much money. Like, hey, let's do another one. And again, a third one.
I think it made money because people were expecting the same quality and type of storytelling, adventure, and fun that the first movie had.
Right.
And I remember seeing the commercials. I do remember seeing them. And yeah, I was excited until I saw it. And I was like, what's this?
Right.
And so they made money off of the movie's expectations. They made movie, but they made money off of the expectations that the audience had for the sequel. And this is before now where you pretty much know sequel sucks. You don't expect much. You don't get much. If you do get something, then you're pleasantly surprised.
Right.
But back when this happened in 2001, you were kind of like, hey, sequels were a thing that wasn't being done like off an assembly line.
Right.
So you thought you were going to get what you got with the first one, but you didn't.
Right. And that's unfortunate. And perhaps it's just one of those movies that should have just stayed being a single film and not having a bunch of sequels and spin-offs and remakes, because we already stated we did not like the 2016 Mummy, and we had no interest in watching the the I guess the independent version, or maybe they had the rights to tell their own version of the Mummy. I don't know if it's public domain or not. I doubt it, or they were going off the original film. But at some point, there was actually a movie made back in 2021 or 2020, and it was an independent film where it was the Mummy again, but with a whole new group. It was like modern day, and it basically the same thing, and they were trying to find the Mummy first to prove that it was real. But then when the Mummy's unleashed, instead of it being an adventure like this or even the second one, they got zombies, they got lasers, they had living bugs, they had like a giant lizard looked like Godzilla was rising up from the ground. That was the pet, and it just starts being like, okay, I guess this movie's something else entirely.
Yeah.
I can say at least this film isn't as obnoxious as that, but unfortunately, it just fails to live up to any sort of hype the first one had by just being a retread of the first film with a couple new characters added in there.
And I think it was also a good thing that they had the cast come back, the stars. They didn't recast, try to get better people. They did have the original actors who helped to make the movie a success return. That was good. The cinematography was good. I can say that it had improved. It was better. It was more vibrant. It was more HD looking, and it really looked good.
Yeah.
And then it was nice to see Dwayne Johnson in his acting debut. And if they had stopped there, it would have been okay. But then, as you said, they went on to make The Scorpion King, which I did try to watch. And if that had just been it there, it would have been, oh, his first acting role, great. That was something that really, as you mentioned, shouldn't have been in a movie to start with. But since they put it in there, they could have stopped there, and that would have been it.
Right.
But I think after they made so much money off of the sequel, it's like, oh, let's just keep pumping them out.
Right. And then when you had Dwayne Johnson in there, most people only remember the role because the CGI with him as the Scorpion King was so terrible. It's still being made fun of today. So his first acting was considered his dumbest one because of how bad he looked. And it's a meme now how the CGI looked at the time, make him look really grotesque.
But you have to start somewhere. So I won't fault him for taking the role and them giving him the role. You got to start somewhere. And again, it wasn't that he was bad. It's, as you said, it's the CGI that made it. It was cringe. Before cringe was cringe. It was just, ugh. And then when they made the Scorpion King, the worst part about that is that the CGI didn't get any better.
Yeah, that's even worse. That's even worse.
So, if you've seen The Mummy Returns and you actually like it, let us know what you think in the comments below. Did you see it in theaters? Did you see it on DVD like I did and like we did together? Let us know. If you haven't seen it, it's available to buy everywhere. You probably can see it for free on a streaming service. I think it's a Universal movie. So I'm not sure who has it for streaming.
Yeah.
But if you haven't seen it, go ahead, give it a try, come back and let us know what you think.
Right. And if you haven't already, subscribe for updates and videos on your favorite anime series, animated shows, and all things animation.
Absolutely.
So, thanks so much for watching. I'm Master Entertainment.
And Mom Entertainment.
Have a fantastic day.
Peace.